Hello, babies.
Thank you, Ray.
Told you I ordered a drink.
You know, it came. It wasn't prompt, but it came.
Did you get my text there, Richard?
I don't know.
All right.
Running a little late. All right. Well, he shows up when he shows up. Let's do a little Celtics. A little Celtics talk. Obviously, they sweep the Nets on Monday. The closest point differential in the NBA in the last 50 years. As I said in the opening, 18 points. I don't know who. This was going to be a question for Jack, but he's not here, so I'll throw it over to you and see if he wants to pick up on it. I mentioned this in the opening take that the national, they're all pinning this on the Nets underachieving, but do you think it was more Celtics, Raymond, or do you blame Kyrie and KD and Steve Nash and their debacle of a dumpster fire for the failure, or was it more Celtics putting the pressure on them?
The Celtics are probably playing some of the best defense that I've seen in a very long time.
Would you say since the 2004 Pistons?
I kind of want to go there. I kind of want to go there.
Did Tayshaun Prince and Rip Hamilton have Defensive Player of the Year votes in that year? I'm pretty sure one of them. Tayshaun Prince.
No, it was Ben Wallace. You dumb fuck.
Oh, Ben Wallace. Dude, I forgot about
Ben Wallace. Yeah, he
might have got Defensive Player of the Year, but
he might have got a couple votes. But to your credit, Ray, I have heard more than one person say this is the best defense they've ever seen. Now they're all Boston media green team bobos.
When I heard Felger and Mass talk about this, my 8th grade erection almost started to bloom.
Who's
because
the guy
I was
with
like,
half
yeah,
the
buddy,
face? Who's the guy with
go.
half a face on
It's Forsberg.
Oh, okay.
Old Two-Face. Old Two-Face in the
this is what the Celtics are gonna do.
I'm pretty sure that's a birth defect. We're gonna have to beep the whole thing. Anyway, right back.
No, you're not.
Back to you.
No, I think it's a great defense. I mean, yeah, Steve Nash, he's not a head. He's a head coach, but he's still having rookie problems with all these egos on his team. You could tell down the stretch, he should have called timeout a few times in the fourth quarter. Just let the guys keep playing. You got to have a better coaching when you're in the playoffs like that. But this defense is just incredible right now. Marcus Smart was all over Kyrie Irving. Tatum
46 points over the last 3 games for Kyrie Irving when guarded by Marcus Smart.
Thanks, Bill. And I think Tatum did a great job on KD. So all in all, I think it's a great defense by the Boston Celtics. One that you haven't seen since 2004.
Bill, is this the dumpster fire at its peak blaze, or do you give the Celtics credit for igniting the fire a little bit more?
I give the Celtics credit for igniting the fire even more. I thought you saw 2 superstar performances out of Jaylen Brown, who I actually thought was the most consistent and best player in the series. And then you saw Jason Tatum do Jason Tatum things. I mean, those are, we talked about winning big series. I know it's a first round, but the Nets are no joke. I know it's a dumpster fire over there, but you still have 2 top 15 players in the world, including the best player in the world, and you completely shut him down by defensive looks. He was a typical KD game in Game 7, but your defense completely and utterly shut him down. It gives you the Celtics more credit. I thought you were going to beat him. I didn't think you were going to sweep him. I thought it sent the message, and we questioned, in Brooklyn also, not Brooklyn, but Milwaukee kind of did the same thing. They avoided Brooklyn. No one wanted to play Brooklyn, and the Celtics said, fuck that. We wanted the 2nd seed. We all questioned it. Did you want to lose? But you know what? You went in and just swept them. They're still a legit team. I just don't think Steve Nash. It's all on Steve Nash. You won because you have the coaching advantage. Steve Nash is a rookie coach. I know you have 2 rookie coaches in there, but you have Steve Nash just did not know what to do. They didn't switch up anything. Their big move was Blake Griffin, who I thought in Game 3 and Game 4, especially Game 4, was instrumental in drawing fouls and big threes. So I mean, that was their big change, but that was it. They couldn't match the Celtics, where you wanted Kevin Durant to do Kevin Durant things, but they couldn't do it. The Celtics' will to win, I think, had a lot to do with it. Maybe a lot of disrespect and a lot of shit from last year, but that was it. The Brooklyn gave their best fight, in game 4, and they just couldn't do it. And like I said, we said it in the opening takes, they put their foot on their throat every single time Brooklyn got close on their home court, game 3 and game 4. Every single time they made a little run, the Celtics clamped down, and the next thing you know, Brooklyn couldn't make a stop. It was all on the Celtics. I mean, this says more about the Celtics in my book, because I knew what Brooklyn was. You know what I mean? If they caught fire,
Bill,
they were going to kill us.
Take a breath. Why didn't they put LaMarcus Aldridge in there?
That's what his heart's going to explode.
But still, just give him a couple minutes each game. He's on the roster. He's on the bench. He's suited up. Give a different look to the Celtics. I mean, put LaMarcus Aldridge in, who is once in his heyday was an all-star. He was a great player. I mean, he could have done some different things against Al Horford, I think.
And why isn't and the biggest question mark right now? And I'm sorry to interrupt real quick, but Andre Drummond played the first 4 minutes of the game 3 or game 4, and you never saw him again. That's a big like why he was owning the Celtics.
The position you're talking about, the Claxton kid who missed 10 free throws in a row,
NBA record.
Mm-hmm.
NBA record beats Shaq's. That being said, he did his job. He was the only guy rebounding for him. He was scoring buckets around the rim. He was delivering. Obviously, he just couldn't shoot at the free throw line. So if you want to take him out for a fucking a guy in LaMarcus Aldridge, you can't move. Like defensively,
he's I'm not saying
he retired from a fat heart.
It's not that people are getting on Steve Nash. I guess rightfully so. It looked like he did nothing, but guess what? When you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, who said when you were hired, we don't need a coach, that's your job.
They don't
That's
need a
it.
GM either,
Your job
apparently.
is to not do anything because Kyrie Irving's on your fucking team. Like it's one way or the other. Like the Nets organization gave Kyrie Irving the leeway to be the raging fucking lunatic asshole that he is. And Steve Nash had to deal with it because Kevin Durant enabled it. And that's the team that you got. That being said, they still shot 42% from 3. They shot 50% from the field. The Celtics defense did a number on frustrating Kevin Durant, and that all trickled down to the rest of their team not being able to really pick up the slack. But it's not just their defense. Bill's right. The Celtics are just a better team. They had the will to win, and every time they needed a bucket offensively, they got one. Either from Jalen or from Jason, or I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. We asked to trade Marcus Smart for 1.5 years, but Marcus Smart. So their big 3 came up big. Huge.
It was only, just so everyone knows and the listeners know, it was Bill that wanted Marcus Smart to trade. Rich and I were all aboard.
No. I was on the trade Marcus Smart. I might have been the first guy on the trade Marcus Smart trade. After Bill and I
after we said they were captain.
After he was after the Toronto series in the bubble where we named him captain, and then at the Heat series we wanted him traded.
Hey, take police. We're allowed to take that.
Yeah. No, we're only semi-professional.
We also said we wanted to trade Robert Williams, and that's looking day by day.
No, I'll still trade Robert Williams. Tell me who's coming back. Cat.
Oh, he ain't leaving now with Anthony Edwards. They got a docking situation going down.
I take my cat take back too from the text chain.
No.
He's so quiet. Oh,
we're in Minnesota now.
Hey, I'll give you something that it's not on the email here that we don't have to talk to Jack about. How about that? Oh shit! Sorry, I just forgot the ref's name. What did you think
Scott
of
Foster?
Scott Foster, the extender, as Big Joe Murray on 98.5 called him. Great nickname, by the way. I don't know if he came up with it, but he called him the extender. What did you look? The first half of that game, Seth Curry had 3 fouls in the first 2 minutes, I think. They were calling bad fouls on the Nets left and right. And I was like, all right, maybe the fix is in for the Celtics to fucking end this thing. But then you saw it trickle down to Tatum. He had 3. Those last 3 fouls were
garbage.
Terrible.
Wasn't one he was going up to make a block?
Well, I'll give it to you. The 4th foul that he got was running out on Seth Curry on a 3. Seth Curry dove his hip into him, which should be an offensive foul in the NBA.
Used to be.
Not in that game. They gave it to Tatum. That was 4. His 5th was Blake Griffin. They called him for an offensive wishy-washy. The superstar should get the call on that, especially in that part of the game. And then obviously we all know the 6th foul that they fouled him on, which was just utter bullshit, which wasn't Scott Foster, by the way. It was his running mate on the other side of the court. Yeah, but anyway, your thoughts on the extender.
How don't they fucking review that? Why didn't they review the 6th foul?
They already reviewed the
They
fifth
reviewed
foul.
and hit the 5th foul.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Okay,
But
so you go ahead, Ray. What's your take on this?
with Tim Donaghy like knowingly fixing games and coming out writing books about it, and then you have Scott Foster, who's notoriously bad around the whole league. Everyone hates him for pretty mumuch how he calls games. Why don't you get rid of this shit in the NBA?
Because Scott Foster called Tim Donaghy about 500 times,
137 documented phone calls.
documented phone calls for under 30 seconds around every single game that supposedly Donaghy fixed for the mob or whatever bet on. And so the fact that he's even still reffing games and there's a reputation, the Celtics going into this game in the Scott Foster era were number 2 in personal fouls called in his era. That says something. And to see him in home court, if this was a game 7, regardless of what series against the Celtics, I would flip the fuck out and you would know the fix is in. I've always said this. Hold on real quick. I've always said this about the NBA. It's one of the only sports that is can be completely disregarded. Like the outcome is dictated by a third party, and that is the refs. Because once you're in that bonus, you can get the bonus with 9 minutes left of the game. It directly leads to points. Baseball, basketball, football, it doesn't lead. I mean, hockey, it doesn't lead to points. Basketball, you put them on the line, it's fucking free shots.
Or you can foul out their best player with 3 minutes left in a fourth quarter, up by 3, and give the team a chance. Which, to our point, the Celtics just denied it. I mean, Kyrie Irving hit that deep 3 to bring them down 3. Celtics came back. Marcus Smart fouls Kevin Durant, either intentionally or unintentionally. There was 20-something seconds left. They could have come down and tied the game with a 3-pointer. Smart puts him on the free throw line.
I would have fouled him too. I know I was watching the national broadcast. I don't know where you guys, but Van Gundy's like, dumb play. I'm like, no, I was watching the game going, no, I don't want him to shoot a 3.
No, I mean, look,
put him on the line.
He missed the second shot. It was a great play. Udoka referenced it. He was asked about it, and he referenced that Marcus had it in the back of his mind that I'm going to be aggressive here, and if I foul him, it's okay because we're up 3, and that's what he went for the steal and fouled him. So, Marcus Smart, fucking decent play, and he misses the second free throw, and then they run on the breakaway. That play right there, Raymond. Who got the rebound? Al
Horford.
Jalen got the rebound.
Oh yeah,
and he outlet it to Marcus Smart, and then Al Horford got the offensive rebound for the putback. That play doesn't happen last year. They hold the ball, they huddle up, they wait for the free throws, they try to milk the clock. There's just those plays in these games that have showed me that they've turned a corner. They've learned how to win. Jack is in the waiting room. I'm gonna let him in here.
Rich, I do need to apologize to you.
Oh, this should be good.
Al Horford. You liked it. I hated it. I said he was going to be a piece of shit. I wanted nothing to do with him. I thought he was washed up. But through 4 games, he's probably been your number 4 player right now through 4, and it's just
depending on how you look at it, he could be number 1. Bill, Mr. Al Horford, Jack. How are you, buddy?
I apologize.
Good.
I accept your apology, Bill. Sorry, Jack, to interrupt you. It's not often you get an apology from Mr. Queen Bill Gately, so I had to take that and soak it in.
I understand.
How's it going, man?
Of course. Good. Thank you for waiting on me. It wouldn't be the commuter rail if it wasn't late, but I'm here finally.
Perfect. It's been a while since I've had to deal with that shit, so I feel you. We're gonna jump right in here. So with us, Jack Simone from CLNS. That's hard to say. Media and a bunch of other stuff. You can go ahead and do that at the end. We were just talking about Scott Foster and the bullshit that went on with Tatum, and then finished up with the Celtics were able to get over it and overcome it, and have turned a corner. And that all started with the first question of in this sweep over the Nets. Was it more about the Celtics or was it more about the dumpster fire that is the Nets? So welcome to the show. Throw it on over to you.
Of course. Yeah. I want to start by saying the Nets are a dumpster fire. And I'm not saying that they're not a dumpster fire because they definitely are. But I think the Celtics played phenomenal defense. I mean, sure, Kevin Durant had some unforced turnovers, but you look at the defense. You look at the defense Tatum played on him. He was smothered the entire series. Obviously, he had a 39-point game in game 4. Kyrie had a 39-point game in game 1. But other than that, Marcus Smart was clamping up Kyrie Irving. Jason Tatum was clamping up Kevin Durant. And Goran Dragic was, just doing whatever he wanted. But that didn't matter because no one else could score the ball. So I think it's a real testament to how great this Celtics defense is all around. And I know they're all close games, but I mean, the defense of the Celtics, despite the Nets shooting splits, it's all about stopping the Stars, and they did just that when they needed to, and it resulted in a sweep. So,
yeah, we mentioned on the top 18-point differential, closest in the last 50 years in the NBA in a sweep in the playoffs. So, do you think that how much will that benefit the Celtics moving forward in the playoffs here? Because that was one of, I think we spoke about it, Jack, one of my concerns on the Celtics being able to execute down the stretch in close games and pressure moments. And hey, 4 for 4 to start the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. They sucked in close games in the regular season, and that's because most of their close games were in the first half of the season when they just sucked in general. And then you get to the second half of the season, and they're just blowing teams out, so they didn't really have the opportunity.
However, not to interrupt you,
game.
Dallas, Miami.
Yeah.
Who's the other third one? There was 3.
Philly. Didn't they beat Philly by 49 or some shit?
No,
like
I'm
that
talking
with
close games that they lost, which had me worried going into the series, Jack. That you got KD and Kyrie. You come down the last 3 minutes. Jesus, those are not guys you want to go up against. But proved me wrong. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, yeah, you're totally right, and you do that against Stars in the playoffs, and that shows that you got balls, and that's exactly what the Celtics did. They stopped KD and Kyrie in the closing moments. The Nets made it close when Scott Foster decided to handicap the Celtics in the final moments of Game 4, but they powered through. They played great defense. They made their shots when they needed to. Al Horford, like you guys mentioned when I hopped on, he played his role too. It all came together in those final moments, and they showed that really the only fatal flaw that most people saw about the Celtics heading into the playoffs, they kind of answered it. And obviously there's going to be other things. There's going to be new challenges as the Bucks come into town, or the Bulls. So not to disrespect the Bulls.
But dude, come on, the Bucks. How you stop Giannis? That's the big question.
Yeah. That's the big question. But as far as late game scenarios goes, the answers, they've answered all the questions, at least from my perspective, in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. I'm still, look, the Nets didn't play any. They tried at defense, you could see when they were hustling, but the team defense not there.
If Blake Griffin's your best defender, it's not gonna work out.
The size is still not there. It's a whole different story the next 2 rounds, which, that's a question I didn't answer. I thought even their offense got stagnant. It has times to get, it has a tendency to get stagnant from time to time. They'll need to just sharpen that up against the tougher competition, I think, moving forward. Speaking of that, the Bucks are coming to town. Let's be honest. They got 3. They got 3 to figure this out. The Bulls are dead in the water.
Yeah, Zach Levine's out today. They're done.
Yeah, they're done.
Sayonara.
So let's just start with the Middleton.
Is that Spanish? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw this out to all of you guys. What's the impact for the Bucks without Middleton in the lineup? Jack, go ahead and get us rolling.
Yeah, so over the years, I feel like there's a long list of Celtics killers, quote unquote. Evan Fournier is one now. Ish Smith has been one in the past, and the main one you talk about is Chris Middleton on the Bucks, right? Like whenever he comes to town, they defend Giannis pretty well, but it's just the Chris Middleton show every time, and that him being out changes the entire course of this series, because I know Giannis is the best player in the world. I'll just put that out there. He's the best player in the NBA. He's the best player on planet Earth right now.
You just beat.
But Chris Middleton is the one. All right. Well, he didn't play like the best player in the world. So regardless, you got one of the best in the business, but the Celtics defend Giannis probably better than any team in the league. I would argue they're one of the best teams at defending Giannis. And a lot of that is Al Horford and the help of Robert Williams on the weak side. And even Daniel Tice, he's a body. He'll get fouled out in 2 seconds, but he's a body. Chris Middleton's the guy making the shots at the end of games when you need him to on the perimeter. And without him, it's going to be Grayson Allen, who's been really good in the first round in his defense, but that's a major step down. And exactly right. It's not exactly
Grayson Allen.
Yeah, but
what you want.
But Jack, it's not just Middleton. I mean, all those guys can shoot. Right. So I mean, how are you going to double team Giannis if every single guy is hitting threes? Lopez can hit threes. Holiday can hit threes. Allen can hit threes. I mean, all these guys are outside shooters. If they're spot on, like, how are you going to compete? Like, I don't think the Celtics beat the Bucks. I really don't. I just the way I don't. I just think I like the Bucks.
Let me just give you sorry, Jack. I'll just give you some statistics
go.
here to go back here, Adam. Giannis has basically got a 500 record against the Celtics. I think he's 17-16 or something like that. Against every other major opponent in the East and also in the West, including the Lakers, the big time players, Miami's, the Phillies, the Lakers, he's well above 500, 12-4 type of records. The Celtics are the only team to really hold him in check. And that was mainly happening when they had Al Horford. So I accept your apology again for the Al Horford trade, but this was the biggest thing I had in mind. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid. Those two guys, Al Horford is the first line of defense. And then when you put a healthy Rob Williams on the backside and a perimeter defense that includes Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart, that's how you defend the Bucks. Not saying it's going to be easy. You're right. They got players, they got ballers, but Chris Middleton has hit so many fucking daggers against this team.
I'm picking
and guys'
against the
eyeballs
Celtics from here on out.
If
Every
he's
series,
not in the series, I got
that's
Celtics in 6, maybe. I mean, maybe 5.
Yeah.
I think they're rolling. Sorry, Jack, you were gonna go and put Bill to school. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, my thing is, over the years, like you said, Richard, they defend the Bucks extremely well, and that's a lot to do with Al Horford. And I'll counter your point, Bill. You're right. The Bucks shooters are like worlds above the net shooters, right? They've got Grayson Allen, they've got Brook Lopez, they've got Drew Holiday who's shooting really well. The Nets shot 40% from 3 in the first round against the Celtics, and that's including Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving shooting around 23% from 3 combined. So the Nets role players made a fuck ton of their shots. Goran Dragic didn't miss. Seth Curry didn't miss. Bruce Brown didn't miss. The Bucks have better shooters, but it will be very difficult for them to shoot as well as the Nets role players did in that series. So if you look at how they defended KD, I think that's how they should defend Giannis. You just double him whenever he touches the ball.
But are you going to put Jason Tatum on Giannis?
I put Al Horford on Giannis.
You're not going to put, but I mean that in that position too. But you also remember, like, I don't know, like,
look, you just stifled Durant. Durant came out.
Hold on, but the
2 of the games,
the coaching factor is huge too. Like between Budenholzer,
he made a better coach.
Stupid name.
Budenholzer.
Budenholzer has a title. What do you have?
Giannis has a title. God. Look, even Kevin Durant came out to the public and said, I didn't know where the help was coming from. I didn't know where the defense, like the Celtics defense stifled the best player in the world, the best offensive talent we've seen maybe ever. And they confused him. Like, it's like confusing Brady on defense. They shook him mentally. So you don't think you can do that to Giannis? I mean, come on. And the other point I want to make defensively for the Celtics and more so offensively for the Bucks, these are going to be close games, most likely. Where do the Bucks go to? They go to Drew Holiday on an ISO and try to kick out. Like Giannis is not that guy. You put the ball in their hands with 7 seconds and create. Like
Grayson Allen's not that guy either.
Drive to the hoop.
Ray,
Giannis,
do you want 15 seconds on Grayson Allen?
I fucking hate Grayson Allen. That fucking little cunt. That little dookie piece of shit. I hope he fucking tears an ACL this series. That piece of shit.
Ray's spite for Grayson Allen is going to make me root for the Bucks this series.
Jack, I'll give you your own 15 seconds of
Bucks and 6.
Some joy here. Do you want to just give us a quick appreciation for what is Grant Williams?
Oh yes, I've loved Grant Williams since the moment they drafted him. I loved him last year, even when he was not very good last year. I'll be the first to admit it. Grant Williams is a crucial part of the Celtics rotation this year. I mean, you look at his shot making, you look at his ability to cut now when he gets the ball in his hand, they close out. And you look at the defense. I mean, he played great defense on Kevin Durant too. He does everything you want from a role player. And Jaylen Brown even tweeted today, Grant Williams got snubbed for the best teammate of the year award. If Jaylen Brown, the second star on the Celtics, is praising Grant Williams as the best teammate in the NBA, he's got to be doing something right. Right. You love the energy he plays with. The last time the Celtics played the Bucks, he almost tried to fight Bobby Portis, and Bobby Portis is a scary man. I want no part of Bobby Portis. So,
who did Bobby Portis punch in the head on Chicago?
They call him Mirotic.
They traded him out of town. Yeah.
And now Mirotic is out of the league.
And I'm pretty sure I have this right. I'm pretty sure Ime challenged, he did a good job this year. Great job this year of challenging everybody to their individual roles, which I think was one of Brad Stevens' biggest weaknesses.
Flaws. Yep.
And I'm pretty sure he, said to his team, we need one of these guys. We need a Bobby Portis. We need an asshole, an agitator, a guy that can get out there. and he's kind of pulled Grant Williams out of that pack. And
We
said,
got
you
Batman.
can be that guy. Well, then he dubbed himself Batman. I fucking
What
hate
a
that
stupid
whole line
nickname
of-
in a terrible movie. But Jason Tatum had 3 assists in game 4, and it was Grant Williams threes too. So I mean, he had big shots. He kept him in game 3 and game 2. Like
Him
as
and
much
Payne Pritchard.
as
Him and
much
Payne
as
Pritchard
I
played great off the bench.
I guess I owe Rich another apology. As much as I've hate Grant Williams, he's came through. Grant Williams, Rich has been a big Grant Williams guy. Congratulations.
You know, I have a
Amazing.
little bit of basketball intelligence in me. Ray doesn't. He's still waiting for the cum cookie. Last question here
Ooh, can
before
I come on it?
predictions. Sure, yeah, we can do it together. Time Lord came back
Double Dutch Rudder.
wicked early, obviously, and looked rusty. Clearly looked rusty. Clearly looked a little bit half a step behind, maybe a step behind. If he can get back into form, what kind of boost does that give this team? And looking even further ahead, even if you want to get to the finals, you know, against a team like the Warriors, even with Draymond Green, who's praised Robert Williams in the past, you know, what's the difference maker Robert Williams can make from what he was there in the short minutes he got into maybe getting back even to the starting lineup if he can get fully healthy?
I think it's everything because, Bill, like you said, the Nets, they were clearly something's wrong with the Nets. And as much as they made their outside shots, like they don't really have an interior presence. I mean, you just get Nicholas Claxton down there and you foul him and he bricks, 18 free throws in a series. That was fine. And maybe Giannis does the same thing, but the Bucks are exactly. The Bucks are better in the paint. Giannis clearly is one of the best players in the world, and he will just dunk all over an entire team. But having Robert Williams there on the weak side to help will at the very least, have Giannis have to think, right? He's going to have to think before he goes into the paint because there will be that defensive player of the year caliber player on the weak side ready to help over him. He did get some votes. It wasn't a lot of votes, but he got some votes. So as great as Daniel Tice has been in covering for Robert Williams, he obviously doesn't provide the same
cracker down
athleticism. Yeah, he doesn't provide the same athleticism, everything like that. And if I'm being honest with you, maybe this is a hot take, but I've said it consistently on my podcast and to my friends and shit. I fear the Heat more than I fear the Bucks, and that goes with Chris Middleton out. It's just the Heat are a better cohesive unit, and the defense that they play allows them to match the Celtics. I mean, you saw what happened in the last time the two teams met at full strength. Obviously, the Celtics didn't play well, but no matter if the Celtics play well or not, that's going to be a dogfight. And like I said, the Celtics historically defend Giannis and the Bucks very, very well. So I'll give you my prediction. I think Celtics in 6. That's what I'm going to go with. It could very easily go 7. And if Middleton doesn't play and Giannis has a few bad games because the Celtics defend well, it could go 5. But I'm pretty confident going into the series. But then again, Giannis averages 50. There's only so much you can fucking do at that point. But,
I fear the Heat
yeah.
too, because I think Dwight Bosch, aka Adebayo, is a worse matchup for the Celtics than Giannis.
Jack doesn't know that. You gotta explain that to Jack.
All right, so if Dwight Howard and Chris Bosh had a baby, it would look like Dwight
Yeah,
it would look
Bam,
like
I had to go
Adebayo.
look at this, and he's right.
He's right. That is like scarily accurate.
Yeah,
So,
I forget Bama Adebayo's name a lot because I just call him
Because
Dwight
we
Bosch.
just call him Dwight Bosch.
his real name is Edris. His name's Edris.
Either way,
Here's a
but I
fun
think
fact
he's
for
a
you.
worse matchup for the Celtics than
Yeah.
Giannis is, honestly. And he's owned the Celtics. And as good as Robert Williams is, he's always struggled there. So I think with Miami, the toughness, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, that team scares the shit out of me. There's 2 of us on the show that they also scare the shit out of. Ray's dumbass only fears Philadelphia, I believe.
No, I said Philadelphia's
About
gonna beat the Heat.
about to blow the first 3-0 lead in NBA playoff history.
Please
Philadelphia.
Please do.
That'd
Anyway,
be
happens so bad.
Yeah, and it could be said, and this goes against one of my points, and Ray might jump down my third here, but it could be said Jimmy Butler's the best player in the playoffs right now.
You
Dude has been
fucking-
balling out. Dude's
you
been
guys are
balling out.
assholes.
Jimmy
I hate both
Butler.
of you.
Jimmy Butler has been a top 10 player in this league for the last 3-4 years.
Jack, you don't want to get into this hornet's nest now. We appreciate you jumping on, bud. Go ahead and let us know where we can find all your stuff, and we'll catch you again in the playoffs here.
for sure. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. You guys can follow me on Twitter at JackSimoneNBA. Like it was said, I write for CLNS Media right now, as well as heavy.com, Celtics blog, at the Hive, Hoops Habit, bunch of random places. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Always a good time.
In your TikTok, Jack, before Jack goes, his TikTok, what do you do with finding a player like the what is that called? What you find a
basketball reference speed runs.
Yeah.
Speed runs.
That's pretty impressive to watch. I watch that all the time and was like, that is very impressive, Jack. Nice job.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm not on these trivial children's fucking.
Bill
apps.
gets the paper in the morning with ball sack hanging out of his robe, and the kids run away. So
I'm not gonna lie. I do miss.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get to throw. We'll see you, Jack. Fun
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Take it easy.
Later, Jack.
Thank you.
Bye, Jack.